Hello everybody, what's happening? This is Lynn and I'm here with my main man, educator Andrew Kern. I just finished going through a parenting conference at Spirit of Joy and it was amazing. You dropped a lot of knowledge on us, but I have a couple little questions I want to ask you. But first of all, I want you to introduce yourself to everybody.
Oh, okay. I'm Andrew Kern. I'm with the Cersei Institute. Classical education, Christian classical education is my vocation.
Yes.
And so I'm very happy to be able to serve the families in this community, and I hope it was a blessing to them. Oh, I just have to mention one more thing.
Okay.
I'm a grandfather. Most important thing about me.
Yes.
9 grandchildren.
9?
9.
Oh,
It's
wow.
9. It might be 8 or 9.
Okay,
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
4, 6, 8, 9.
And as young and as enthusiastic as he has 9 grandchildren. Can you believe that? Now, he shared a whole lot with us, but there was one question. There was a couple questions. One was from a young lady, and she said she has a son, and he hates math. I don't know if any of you all have children out there that hate math, but she said she has a son that hates math. Now, what would you tell her?
Yeah. Well, what I did tell her is your son doesn't hate math. Your son hates not knowing math. Your son loves math. We are the image of God, and God has woven into our souls a perception of the world as mathematical. But what we often do is we reduce math, right? We take this inner drive that God has given us to know the world mathematically, and then we reduce math to algorithms and formulas and a process that everybody has to go in the same pace, and we reduce it to a textbook. And so what happens then is they associate math with the frustration of the lessons.
Yes.
But you think about it. What class, when you were a child, what class can you remember that actually made you cry? And if you're a guy, what class can you remember where you actually had so much satisfaction or relief or something at a moment that you took your pen and threw it across the room? Right?
Wow.
Almost always that's math.
Yes.
Right? We think we don't care about it or we think we hate it, but the amazing thing about it is we have a very strong emotional connection to math.
That's true.
Right? And the reason is because we hate not knowing, we hate discord, we hate frustration, but the moment of seeing the truth gives us so much happiness that we throw pencils or we sigh, or we sit, there's this emotional reaction. But it's hard for us to understand. Why do I feel so happy? And the reason is because we're mathematical people, which is another way of saying we're musical people, right? And music is very mathematical. Math is all about a discord that we need to resolve. And when we resolve it, we feel joy. When we have discord, we feel anxiety, right?
Yeah.
That's what, don't teach your kids how to solve problems in math. Go ahead, teach your kids how to solve problems in math. It's okay. But don't limit it to that. What they're actually doing is resolving discords.
That's good.
Right? That's what math really is. It's resolving discords.
Too good. Now this is what we've been getting all day and last night. So you got to love this. You got to love. No, we love it. We love it. We really do. Now, but there's another thing I want you to talk about.
Okay.
So I overheard him having a conversation with another young lady, and he was talking about atmosphere and education.
Yeah.
So what were you sharing with her? What is that about? Atmosphere and education.
Right. Charlotte Mason, who's one of the greatest education thinkers, theorists, or practitioners, probably in the last 200 years, she described education in a few categories. One of the things she said is education is an atmosphere. And I love that. What she's saying is, here's a story that helps me explain it. My very first year as a teacher in a school setting, I had a 9th grade girl in my class. And I had twice a day. She was in my class. Well, twice a day. And one time I would teach her history. The other time I would teach her literature. So one day I'm teaching literature class, and it's Shakespeare, right? So I start describing for the class, Elizabethan England, the Shakespearean context, what's going on historically. She raises her hand. She says, actually, I don't know if she raised her hand, but she said, "Mr. Kern, you can't do that." And I said, I honestly had no idea what she meant. "Can't do what?" I said. She says, "This is literature class." I said, "Yeah."
Okay.
Still didn't know, right? What are you talking about? She said, "You're talking about history." I'm very slow in the uptake, so I still didn't know what she meant. I said, "Yes." She says, "You can't talk about history in literature class." And I thought, wait a minute, what? I've thought about that. Well, that's 30 some years ago now, 30 years ago. And I've thought about that ever since then with this one question I've been asking. Who told her that?
Wow.
Who
Right.
told her you can't teach history and literature, right? But I've concluded nobody ever told her.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the lesson that she learned by being taught it. It was the lesson that she learned by the atmosphere.
Okay.
She had a book that was a history book that she would open in a class that was a history class. Then she would close the book in history class. She would walk out of the history class, down the hallway,
Yes.
to the class that was called literature class, where there would be a literature textbook.
Yes.
And she would open the literature textbook. And the atmosphere of that, right? In other words, the environment, the structure, the formal setting told her day after day after day that there's no connection between literature and history.
Yes.
Now that's a almost trivial point, although it did fragment the poor girl's mind. But you think about it, what are the things we're teaching our children by the art on the wall? What are the things we're teaching our children by the smell, by the kind of hallway? What are we telling the children about human nature, right? By the structure of the house or the school or the
Yes.
classroom. All of that is the atmosphere. The world that they live in is always the lesson they're learning, right? They're going to internalize that, and they're going to then live it out. And we need to. It can't be too crowded, but it needs to be full, and it needs to be full of grace.
Full of grace.
It needs to be full of truth. It needs to be full of meaning. It can't just be a mechanistic structure that we're using to move them as though they're going along on an assembly line.
Right.
It needs to be a world. It needs to be a world that we put them in that is full of grace and truth, and then they can get to know the one who is full of grace and truth because they'll see a correspondence between them. Right. That's what I mean. That's what I think Charlotte Mason meant by the idea of atmosphere.
I love it. Okay, y'all, we are done, but you gotta find out where you can reach out to Andrew. Andrew,
Thank you.
where can they reach out and see and learn more?
Yeah, thank you. I'm with the Circe Institute. Circe is spelled CIRCE, and Institute is spelled Institute. And it's all one word, circeinstitute.org. And we have a website, that's the easiest way.
Yes.
Info at Circe Institute. If anybody is interested in contacting us, you can do it that way. And we have a number of ministries. We have conferences, homeschool and school training. We do consulting, and we have a writing curriculum. So
Oh, okay.
we have a number of tools. We're trying to provide resources and training for Christian classical educators.
Yeah, that's what we need.
We do, yeah, we
appreciate
do.
it.
And then we're trying to discover it and then share what we find.
Well, thank you so much for being
Oh,
the
my
man of
pleasure.
God
Oh,
that God's created
thank
you to
you.
be. Hey, we
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it and loved it.
Thank
All
you.
right, y'all reach out to Andrew. Okay, reach out to him. Tell him you want more of his books and his programs and everything. And we'll be in touch with you soon. We're at Spirit of Joy with Pastor Ed. Having a great time here at the Parents Conference. Yes, there it is. All right, love y'all. God bless you all. We'll talk to y'all soon.